I was just about to do is change my status, man. I'm a little upset. Yeah,
I got you going this morning, huh?
I saw a piece of news, man. Hang on, let me share this out on my page.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. I try to stay happy, man. I try to stay upbeat. I try to stay uplifting, but every now and then you see this stuff, man.
It gets to you. It gets to you. Get your blood boiling, get you going, your mind racing.
Well, you know what the thing is they play everybody so well, and they line up these games and these narratives, man. Mm-hmm. And so I tell you what, this is what I just posted. I was just looking on my page, and somebody, I think Patricia Grown posted, Facebook deletes health, wellness, organic, natural living accounts in the name of fake news.
Wow.
And that pissed me off, man. So I went and I clicked and I looked on it. It was something like 1,000 pages disappeared. Coming after anything they consider fake news. So what it says is specifically they're looking for pages that have things in the names of, let me see, anything that talks about organic, health, wellness, consciousness, food is medicine. Like they're coming after all of these pages, like the pages they just deleted: organic health, natural cures for food, heart center rebalancing, organic wellness, chocolate Socrates, meditation masters. How are you gonna get rid of chocolate Socrates, man? How many damn sense?
They attacking the health, man. How
health alternative? Yes.
Yo, are you serious? What I mean, how is this even possible? I know why you upset, G, because this is what you do.
This is my thing.
This is your niche right there. They're attacking it.
So I was just about to write his status, and I decided not to do it for a minute. I paused, and I'm just like, man. So all of it, and you know what? It all started with Russia did it. All of this. So you mean to tell me now they're deleting pages that help people get healthier lives, become stronger, grow food, shift to organic instead of conventional food. Think about consciousness and being, self-determination and spirituality, like all the positive things that we really, really, really need to get going in the society. You mean to tell me they're deleting those pages because they call them fake news, because the DNC just didn't want to reform their deceitful, corrupt, dirty behinds? I'm pissed. I'm smiling, but I'm not happy, man.
I agree. We have a lot to be pissed for about this, because if they're trying to attack our sense of nutrition, our sense of alternative living and alternative healing, alternatives to the food pyramid, I guess you could say, that they created, and people are seeking new information, and people need the right outlets to get this new information from, as opposed to the mainstream and the status quo of what we've already been receiving from, like, the Food and Drug Administration or the USDA, and people still are relying on these companies for information when it is shown to be evident that they have been misleading millions and millions of people for generations and generations. So now this is doing and censoring and removing pages that are trying to spread organic health information and health, wellness living. Like, wellness should be a part of everybody's life and education, but Facebook is trying to sabotage people's ability to even connect with those alternative outlets that are, I guess, not in alignment with their whoever their allies are. I have no idea, but it's just sad. It's sad times, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I guess I just put it up in the category of, weak people are easily controlled. Right? Weak people, they don't stand up for themselves. They just go along with everything. I don't think Facebook is a demon or any social media. I just think that we live in a climate where if we say all greed is king, right? All profit is king. If it makes money, we're going to keep running with it. Then we're going to get in a place where, you'll have some of the worst foul things happen just because it makes money.
Right.
And so, like connecting, and some people might think it's a stretch, Russia did it to now organic living and healthy living is under attack. it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just if it makes money and processed foods,
right,
chemicals, herbicides and pesticides and big drugs and pharmaceutical companies, they make big money. And wellness is starting to take some of that money. Big churches, because church is a big business too. If big business churches are making money, they don't want you out there talking about spirituality and all the religions are one and all this. There's just one God, and might have some big eyes, big black eyes, and a big head. Might be an alien. They don't, but they don't want people talking about those things. It's also not stress. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just money. It's just big business. And because we get distracted, like here's an example. I was thinking about this morning. Like I think about how we're talking about the priests now. So the priests are back in the news, and we're talking about all these priests messing with these little kids, dominating a lot of the news. And I just look at the outrage, and I was thinking about, like, man, people get really upset with this. They ask questions. Well, why do you keep paying your tithes? And why are you in the Catholic Church? Why are you still a member of that? And I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. Are you in a political party? Right. So you mean to tell me that you think that these people who are attached to this Catholic religion and they keep going to the churches of a priest who may have hurt 10 kids, right? And you are a member of a political party that's bombed and murdered almost 5 million since 9/11, right? Like how much rape has come out of that? How much abuse has come, and so it's just, I always see these hypocritical screw jobs, that are handed down through the media, and that's where we end up today. The state of the ununion. Can I call it that? Can we talk about the state of the ununion address?
What union are we fighting? The American Union. We're standing for the American Union. That is like just sick and savagery because it's selectiveness. The selective outrage is at an all-time high because when you think about it. Many people have been outraged about this whole, I guess you would call it hypocrisy, about these men who have been given all this power to, be in the position to get in touch with these kids as such they do. It's about privacy, it's about holiness, and it's about belief and having faith in these figures who we should never look up to it the way we do in the first place. But being as though we do, they have power that the individual, like the parent, I would say, doesn't even give themselves the same power as they give these priests. You know what I'm saying? So they look at it like, okay, even though I'm the parent, the priest is still above me because he's closer to God than I am, so to say, because of his holiness that has been taught to us. And the parents allow a lot of different things to happen unbeknownst to them. And we're putting the children in predicaments that they should never be in the first place. And the selective outrage comes when we get pissed. We become, frustrated and angered and pissed off when they happen in America. But we don't look to the things that has been happening to children internationally, because American government has been working with foreign agents and their foreign allies in taking out these same actions to foreign children. You know what I'm saying? But the outrage is not there because they're not American children. So now it's a selective outrage when people are just frustrated when these things happen to American children, but they don't care when they happen to foreign children. And it's like, this is for me, in my mind, when I think about it, it's just, I don't know what to call it really, but it's really some type of I guess psychological embedding in our minds to make us have more, I guess, what would you call it? Like America's first in our eyes. So American people, American children are first when it comes to matters of, people. So now when an American school bus is bombed with 29 children, everybody nationally is outraged. We got to find out who the perpetrators were. We have to bring those people to justice and so on and so forth. But when it happens in Yemen, when it happens to the children in Yemen, there's no national outrage. There's no bringing these people to justice because guess what? The people who has carried out these attacks has been the allies of American government. So the story comes out in the media in a way that they're not telling the people the truth. So the people are just believing what the media is telling them, so they're not outraged. But if Donald Trump says something like, "Oh, this or that," in words, not actions, but just words, he says, "Oh, f this guy," or "This guy's a loser," "That guy's a loser." Who cares what he says? He says a lot of dumb shit, but people are outraged.
Right.
People are not outraged at the loss of life, but people are outraged at words that are coming out of some clown's mouth, because the media has made them believe that they have to be in fear of this clown, as opposed to being in fear of the system of operations which they're living under, the control in which they're living under, the deceit in which they have been taught. They shouldn't be afraid of that. They shouldn't be afraid of the misinformation of generations and generations. They should be afraid of what we tell them to be afraid of.
Exactly.
They should be only reacting to what we tell them to react to. And that's what you see. People are reacting to what the mainstream media, the government, tells them what to react to. And it's sick, man. It's sick.
Well, it's to me, it's psychological warfare. Right? Like it totally is, because but the place I wanted to go with that initially. So, the 29 kids in Yemen, did it even happen? I did camp onto your point. If 29 American kids were bombed in a bus, we would be at war with a continent right now. We would be murdering people blue. We would have ships sailing. We'd have aircraft carrier. We would be flipping. We would be kirking out right now. And so why don't people care? I honestly, I tried my hardest to, I like your tagline. You say you're passionate about people. I tried my hardest not to blame people. I try to look at the psychology of it and try to figure it out, and so why aren't we talking about 29 kids in Yemen? Is because the media stopped talking about it. The media, what do they say? The news cycle is 24 hours. When they stop talking, people stop talking. It's over. And now we're talking about priests in Pittsburgh and, and the trials and stuff. And I guess the thing that I try to do is I try to get down to the base of like whatever the psychology is doing, like my birth ignorance is and what I was raised to believe, right? Like, people were born into religions and they're given these environments and they're told that this is God, this is what you're supposed to do. You don't do this, God doesn't like you, do this, God like whatever. And so I kind of get that indoctrination. The current outrage we have is a little different. Like, this isn't like something that's been ingrained since a child going to Sunday school. These are people who are just in the last 10 years have taken what used to be intellectual politics. People actually having discussions over topics. I say last 20 years. And they're literally upset about emotions and identities, right? Like these demigods, these mythical politicians. And so I don't know. So I think it's different. I think there's a difference between brainwashing somebody from a child to the current mess we have right now. We should literally still be talking about what happened, to those 29 kids, but we're not, because we're talking about priests, and we're doing that on our ignorance because we're not paying attention to the political parties that are doing it all the time. So yeah, I think it's all psychology, man. I think we're lost as a people in this idea that now you're going to start to see the consciousness pages deleted from social media, and anything to get people off of the psychotropic drugs. Like we talk about mass shootings. Every single mass shooting has one thing in common. Almost all of those guys are on psychotropic drugs. And so now if you don't have like natural things being promoted on social media to help people to get off of the psychotropic drugs, you'll see mass shootings go up. And so it's just, I just see it's a compiling matrix of problem after problem after problem after problem. And it keeps compounding because we can't stop and look at the base problems, the core problems with our society. We fail at root cause analysis.
I think that's true what you're saying too. And there's a lot of things that are connected to that. But one of the things I'm realizing is the biggest key is how we're conditioned when we're young. We're conditioned to believe a lot of different things, and we're conditioned to take in, or programmed to take in, a lot of different things. And as of, I guess I would say, national community, we never really talk or discuss these things that the things that we're all subjected to. Because one, when we become adults, we're all trying to, organize and structurize our own lives in the personal way that we now have the freedom to do so. Because generally, for the first 18 years of your life, you're being told that you cannot question much of what you're coming to understand. And you're being basically trained, I guess, to view life from one set standard, which is become a faithful worker, or find something that you like doing, or find something that you may think you're good at, or whatever the case is. And a lot of the times you really don't have complete control of doing this, because your parents are trying to guide you in the best way that they think they want you to live, or the best way that they feel that you should live. And your freedom to choose, or your freedom to, come in to know and gain knowledge about all the different, I guess I don't want to say just information, but all the different cultures, or embrace all the different realities of life, is limited. It's limited because, like you said, for one, religion. When you're born, you're not born to freely choose what religion you want to express your beliefs behind. You're born in tune with the religion that your parents have taken a hold on to, because they have taken a hold on to the religion that their parents have taken a hold on to. So now, for generations and generations, we see that there has been no freedom to choose, or freedom to understand all the different religions, so that one, or children, or just society, can align themselves up with what they freely believe in. You have to align yourselves up with, like, for my own personal experience, I had to line myself up with Christianity and all the different other religions out there. My family shunned them. Like Muslims, we have Muslim family, or Islam family that was Islamic, and my family shunned them, like, oh well, they're radicals and this and that. And I'm like, why are they radical? And we're not radicals. You know what I mean? Why are we forcing our beliefs upon other people, and they're radical because they force their beliefs upon other people? But then you have Catholicism, then you have Buddhism, and all these other different religions that we're not all taught to understand. We're mainly driven down the narrow path that we're being told to focus on. And this pertains to the American education system as well, because in this world, you have so many different ways that children are being educated. And our children are educated, or I would like to say indoctrinated, to believe one set of standards of living. So if we're going to believe one set of standards of living, where is the freedom to understand, or freedom to really come into the know and knowledge of the many different ways of living that are out there in this world, or the many different cultures? We've been told to embrace American culture, and boxed in within that American culture is many different cultures: African American culture, the Caucasian culture, or hip culture, urban culture, suburban. They've broken us down into many different factions, to where we have never embraced community standard of culture or living. We've just embraced fall into your little circle, just follow along with the government rules, and follow along with the education that you're being taught, and find a way to find comfort to which you can just, live and deal with it all, basically. Don't seek to inform your children of the free ability that they have to find a way that's right for them to live, or find something that they really want to truly believe in after they have come to understand all the different things that are out there. And as adults, it shows in how we just so fall into the beliefs of the mainstream media, because that's all we've had to choose from, was that mainstream media. So when it's time to go and search for something else, people are really slow for, what do they call that? Like cold feet. People have cold feet. They don't really want to go out there and step into that which they never have experienced, or never have, I don't know, sought after, I guess you would say. It's like life. When you're stuck in your life that you have lived for 20 years, like people have been at this job for 20 years. People have been doing this same thing for 20 years. You don't want to break away from that, because that's what you have known for 20 years. So now you're afraid of the uncertainty, one, but you're also listening to all these other things that are coming out of the communities around you that are telling you that, hey, don't do that. You might not like what you do. You might like your life after this or that, or it's basically like fear that's all around us. We're all afraid of the unknown. We're all afraid of that which we have never experienced, or I don't know. It's like information. We're afraid to seek out new information, and it's because of the indoctrination, but it's also because we have been all seemingly forced to live these different paths, but within the same.
What's those comfort zones? It's the comfort zone. I mean, you got it. I mean, fear is the right word. It's people they're scared. Right? They get into these boxes, and they're born into them, and they don't want to get out of them because they're afraid of what might happen. What'll happen if I step out and I say, you know what? I'm not black.
Right.
I'm not white. I'm not what you say I am. I am what I want to be. I'm, what are people going to think about me if I say that? What happens if, I think one of the sisters just put on here something about she's a recovering Catholic, right? What are people going to think about me if I say that? You know, how am I going to feel? And I think, let me find her comment again. I think, was that Sister Brenda or Deborah? Because the thing is, Sister Deborah said that. So like when you say things like that, you're thinking outside of your box, right? You're willing to come outside of your comfort zone. And this gets back to something I was thinking about a long time ago in terms of every species upgrades the next generation, right? That's what we always did. That's what every other, even botany, even plants upgrade the next generation to make sure the next generation is stronger than the previous one. Right. But we stopped doing that. We've gotten to a point where we put our kids in these little boxes and we grow up as adults. And we keep going back to kids, and I don't want to keep making it seem like we have to train kids, because there are people who need to step outside the box on their own. It's not about having a parent that tells you to step out, but you at a certain point in time say, you know what, maybe I need to start questioning my comfort zone. Maybe I need to start questioning this box, try to become more of an upgrade for the next generation, and start questioning the things around me. You know, do I have to be a Democrat? Do I have to be a Republican? You know, and it's not even in terms of religion, like, you know, it's not to say that I don't want to be a Catholic or I don't want to be a Christian or Muslim. It's just, maybe it's just a question is, do I really think everything they said was spot on true? It could just be really that simple, to where you go from one generation of everything in the book is solid, word of God, that's just exactly what happened, to, well, maybe some of it was, some of it wasn't. Maybe King James modified this, modified that. But each generation, as the last generation passes away, the next one should be questioning more, breaking it down. And I think this is how we got into the problem we're in now, in terms of, so why would social media and Facebook be trying to get rid of organic and wellness and consciousness, those pages, simply because they believe they have authoritarianism truth on what science says, right? Like they take some science and they say, well, these pharmaceutical drugs work, the natural medicine does not work. And it's a position of hubris. It's a position of some sort of Mark Zuckerberg being born in a box, right? He's born in a box and he has his comfort zones, and maybe he has a board and they have their comfort zones, and it's based around, big business and synthetic drugs and their methodologies and their test processes. And they say, okay, well, this is true. And they make a stance on that. They're afraid to get out of their comfort zone and say, well, maybe it's kind of true some of the time, sort of, but maybe not with 7 billion people all the time and every drug from every company. And so they fall into their own hubris, ignorant box, and they're afraid to get out of their comfort zone also. And so it's not even just at our level where people can't get out of those boxes and become a recovering pseudoscientist, recovering corporate scientist, recovering pharmaceutical person, but we don't want to escape those comfort zones. It's at a corporate level, it's at a government level, it's at vaccine religions, and like all of these things, they're religious boxes. I think that's the word I'm gonna go with. These are religious boxes, right? We look at religion and we say Christian, Muslim, blah blah blah, but those aren't all the religions. Those are just boxes people are born into. Okay. Synthetic drugs is a box, vaccines is a box, Americanism is a box, France is a box, UK is a box. Everyone, they grab these boxes and they're afraid to become, like the sister said, a recovering box person.
Right. And I know the comfort zone thing is major. We talk about the comfort zones and all that, but I think it's different when it comes to people, and certain people like Mark Zuckerberg and those types of folks. I don't think it's about comfort zones anymore. I think it's more along with like strategy. These dudes they have a mission. You know what I'm saying? And they want to make sure that this mission is carried out, you know. So it's not about them having comfort zones, because their comfort zones are way different than what our comfort zones would be, you know, because their lifestyles are completely different than what we would ever know life to be like, you know, being as though they're in the privilege of doing way more beyond the scope of our imagination. But their drive and their motivation is completely different than our drive and our motivation. You know, these dudes.
You know, let me jump in there. No, you're right. I agree with you. You're right. You're right. You're right. My thought was going that direction. Let me put a little piece in there.
Okay.
So how do you make money, right? Their drive is profit. Their drive is greed. How do you make that money? You make that money when you put together a narrative most people will support. And so the narrative is modern medicine, science works, all vaccines are safe. You know, they go with that, you know, and then they have to sell it to the public. Right? So they want to make the money. They know the narrative the public will buy. And so they go with that common box that most people in that society would go and say, yeah, well, that makes sense. We should get rid of the energy light people because they're all crazy and there's nothing to it. And most people will be okay with it. It's the same reason the bus blows up in Yemen and no one gives a damn. Military industrial complex, they know Americans don't give a damn. So if 29 kids die in a bus, the politicians don't have to talk about it because the narrative, they know that most people are in that little religious box that they don't give a damn.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah. And let me elaborate on it more, though. But like I was saying, like, I get what you're going at because they do know. And this is the reason being. Is it about money for them? You know, is it about profit for them? Because after having amassed a certain amount of money, how much more can you get off from getting more money? You know, it's like these dudes are billionaires. So they're not getting off from getting more billions of dollars. You know, that's not what I believe is they're not getting off from getting more billions of dollars. Now it's about controlling the narrative. You know, I have all this money. Now, how can I inflict my power upon the narrative? You know, because money gives power. Money gives power to change narratives. Money gives power to allow a person to input their own narrative, not the narrative that is coming from we the people as they want you to believe. So government is not giving the narrative of we the American people. They're giving the narrative of American government. And people take these stats, these polls, and all these different information, all the different misinformation that is being put out there for face value. Now, when you take this information from face value from an institution that has been led, built, maintained on deceit, corruption, crime, all these different bad words you can find or whatever the case is, United States government has been the number one terrorist in the history of our knowledge of governments. You know,
I don't think that word fits, brother. You need new.
I don't know no big words. I'm not a big word kind of guy. You know what I'm saying?
We need a bigger word.
You need a bigger word for that.
You know, because the thing is, when you say terrorism, you know,
that's giving it lightly. Terrorism.
Well,
that's light.
I know. When I hear that, I think about a poor farmer.
Stay way worse.
A terrorist is like a poor person who picked up a gun because they're sick of America.
Or a suicide bomber that blew themselves up. You know what I mean? That's when the terrorist.
Right, it's a terrorist.
The worst.
You need a bigger word. You need a heinous word. You need
this is what people don't understand, G. This is what people don't understand. They take terrorism, they take terrorist, the word and shit like that for face value. So now they're like, oh my God, we're scared. Those people are going to get us. Oh my God, I'm so afraid they're going to come into our homes. They're going to bomb our children. And people start reacting in ways that are like, hold on, chill out now. It's not that deep. You don't got the right information, or you must been getting the wrong information.
Oh, I got to jump in. there. Did you hear about the 87-year-old grandmother that the police tased?
The police tased an 87-year-old grandma. No, they didn't.
This is no granny. Because it's not just us. No, let me finish. It's
where not. Hold on. Where they do that at though? Real talk. Where they do that?
Georgia. You can look it up. Don't Google it. Eco Asia. But look it up. So this is what happened. Because even the police are scared, right? They broke our society. And it's like I say this, I don't blame police. They broke police. Policing is broke. When you get to a place where police are tasing an 87-year-old grandmother for picking some damn dandelions to make a tea, and she's got some pruning shears in her hand and she doesn't want to put them down,
she was trying
and she could barely walk. She's 90 years old, Chris, 90 years old. So if she could barely walk, if you have police that are scared of somebody like that,
87-year-old grandma.
To me, this is what I said in my post the other day. This is not a time to fire the police. This is not, you know what? This is a time you need to hug that man. This man needs a hug and some love. And you need to fire a politician. Like, this is where we are. We got to stop it. We've built up a society full of people who are so scared to get out of their comfort box. Yeah. And I know what that is. That's a cop who's standing there. He's trained when somebody comes at him with a sharp object. You don't think about the situation. You don't say, this is an 87-year-old grandmother. I can run circles around her and put my fingers in my ears and say, nanny, nanny, boo, boo, and she'll never catch me. He doesn't think about that. He's thinking his training is shoot, and he takes the taser and he hits this
first, ask questions last.
But this is where we are, because so even the police are locked in this, and this is what I'm saying. Our society is sick. I mean, we are in a mentally ill society.
We zoned in right now. We zoned in.
We're zoned in, and you fix it at the core level, at the root. It's not about firing the police anymore. It's not about really maybe not even so much about the politicians. It's about the root system.
Oh no, it's about the politicians. It's about the politicians.
I mean, they're the ones we need to bring about change. But the thing is,
they ain't gonna do it. They ain't
gonna do it on their own. They're not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it on their own.
I hear what you're saying, though. I hear you saying, but it's deeper. It's deeper. Like you're saying, it's the root, and the root is not ignoring what's at the root, and what's at the root is what, sad to say, politics. Politics is at the root of what's going on in this country, because the way that this country was founded and structured and organized was on politics. And it wasn't on no standard of politics that everybody had a say in. It was on the politics of a certain group of men. And this is what we still failed to talk about to this day. We're talking about how we need to change politics and fix politics to make it be for everybody. That's not what politics was created for in America. It wasn't created for everybody. It eliminated millions of people to be created. It's like this. If you have to slay 12 million natives and then say that, oh, we've created a politics that was for all people, and this is to give freedom and liberty to all people. But wait, ignore the 12 million native people that were already on. Well, let's just give a better off number, 50 million native people that were already on this land. Ignore the deaths of those people. Ignore that you're still walking, talking, enjoying your life over those people, because those dead bodies are still buried beneath us, which people just don't even want to think about. But this is what this politics was built upon. Death and destruction, not only on beautiful women, not only on beautiful men, but the beautiful children that created some of the lives that you still see in the very face of you today. There's still the native blood and lineage all around us, but we give praises, we give credit, we give admiration and love to the system of American politics. And we ignore the very history that allowed it to be created.
And we give those Native Americans this much attention. We look back and we think about how horrible the founders of America were, but now we got 29 kids on a bus and we're giving them the same lack of attention.
Same lack of attention as a native.
We've become who we hate the most in the past, and we stand up on that hubris.
I think we also the way that society grows is in what it believes in. We grow from what we believe in, and we've been believing in bullshit for generations and generations. We've grown, though. This is the thing. We've grown technologically. We've grown in the sense of archaeology. I mean, not archaeology, like our infrastructure and things like that. You know how we went through this crazy what they call the industrial era, or whatever the case you have. We have all these advancements in the way things are built, the way things are machined, operated, or whatever the case you have. We've grown in those things.
Well, who was we?
I was about to break that down. We all haven't benefited from that growth. We all haven't reaped the benefits from that growth. So as we've grown with the technological and advancements and all other aspects of life, we've gone backwards as people. We've gone backwards in our development, in our evolution as people, because like you said earlier, we haven't allowed ourselves to, progress as people. We haven't allowed ourselves to, I guess, come together and build upon the information that was already here, because that's what they've done. They've broken our connection with the information of ancient technology, ancient knowledge, ancient geometry, ancient science, ancient whatever. They've taken our connection away from that, and we haven't been able to build upon that beautiful information because we were never given a chance to know that information. We were only given a chance to know their educational information, and they put a cap on it. They put a certain ceiling on that to say, look, this is it right here. This is all the knowledge that you need. So either you're going to be a mathematician, you're going to be a scientist, you're going to be, all these different things that they have, but it's all centered around money. It's not centered around making people better. It's centered around getting more money, making the profitability and capitalizing off of the ignorance of another. So it's like, if you're smart, capitalize off of the dumb dude. You know what I mean? You're a smart guy. Capitalize off of the dummy, because guess what? That's what the life is about. Take advantage of that person that is not able to think like you are, or is not able to physically be as strong as you. That's what you're seeing. That's it's like the competition thing, Capitalism.
It's about kicking the handicapped person and stealing his lunch money.
Basically, that's what it's about. Like in school, you talk shit about the little squirmy dude that can't really defend himself, and he doesn't have any really friends that are really of any value that is going to uplift him in his situation, because nobody thinks he's cool enough. So now it's about all these different. It's psychological. That's what it really is. Psychological. You have to perform. You have to be able to perform in this capitalistic society to get ahead, and to do that, you have to be in competition. You have to be in constant competition. It's not like you go for a job. You got to apply an application, and you're in competition with all these different people. You don't know who all these different people is. And nowadays, this is what's crazy. People are overqualified for the jobs. So it's like you go to school, you get a college degree, you're not going to work in the field you studied for 4 years that they told you that you most likely would be doing. You're getting a job that you're overqualified for. And it's like, wait a minute, the dudes that are at this level to where they're not qualified in the ways that they have college degrees and this and that, they can't get those jobs anymore that they used to be able to get because the college kids are getting it. You know what I mean? So now you got to get a college degree, or you got to do something that is putting you on an experience level to where you can maintain these positions, and this just adds to the, I guess I would say, inequality, but this adds to the unsustainable infrastructure or foundation that we're actually already living within, and that's
which is a good thing, though. Which is a good thing. I think that because all of this is unsustainable, we have a chance to change it. And Sister Tiana just asked a question. I want to make sure that, it's a discussion. Let y'all know, Chris and I, we could talk all day. Chris and I, we have, but I want to look at the room and answer questions too. And I don't want anyone to think that,
right here.
We're just two guys sitting here complaining about stuff. That's not how we get down. That is not this community. There's solutions all over the place, right? So, so what are the solutions to the issues? Well, Tiana, one of the things that I see that it seems that people who came from different backgrounds and different walks all seem to agree is that it's the division that allowed us to get to a place where we lost all power and control over our governments, right? So it's that foundation comfort zone box that we were born into. So like step one is don't be divided. Don't, understand who you are. And are you a billionaire or are you not a billionaire? Like that might be the first question. If you're not a billionaire, then you know who's on your team. It should be very easy. And not even all the billionaires are in the club. So, but if you're not a billionaire, you have in common everything with everybody who isn't. Everything. Now you might disagree on a whole bunch of stuff, but you have everything in common. So the first I think box that we have to get out of is we have to get out of the comfort zones of thinking we are subhumans. We aren't subhumans. We aren't races. We aren't divided on religions. We aren't divided on nations. We're just a one human race species. We are one human race. And so solving our problems are about coming together as a collective mass. And we will never do that if we're still divided by the railroad tycoons, the plantation owners, the robber barons, the colonizers, all the conquerors who came up with these just crafty ways of giving people slave minds and convincing them that they belong in a box. So that's step one. I think and then you can talk about consent and removing consent, and there are like a lot of legal aspects. But step one is agreeing that at the base you're a human. And I think if you agree at that base, then 29 kids bombed on a bus in Syria is just like 29 kids bombed on a bus down the street. You're just as upset. You want to stop just as much as everybody else. Coming into the midterm elections, how does it change me? When someone tells me that they want to put a politician in front of my face, I'll put the Catholic priest thing in front of their face. So are you a member of a group that's murdering children? Are you a member, or is that politician a member of a group that's creating a genocide in Yemen or the Congo? Are you a member of a political party that's causing problems between the Zionists and the Jews and the Palestinians because they all got different plights? And are you making it worse? Are you making money off of it? Or are you bringing peace to those circumstances? And if you have a basic, I think, base acceptance that you're a human being and human life is paramount to all politics, then it's very easy to know who you will and won't vote for, assuming you're going to vote.
Right. I think it's deeper than that, G. As that, what you're saying too, you got to first recognize that we are all one race of people. I think we've been divided based off of the information we have been led to believe, and we have never been able to grasp information that says that we're just one big family of people, all different shades of color and forms of skull or whatever the case is, bodily forms and structure, whatever. We are just all one people. And we have a mission to actually find out what it means or how it is to live together. But the biggest solution, I said, is to change your activity. You know what I mean? We have to change the way we are activated in our lifestyles. In our lives, we have to change and give the sacrifice. You have to sacrifice some of the things that align you with the systematic operations that is oppressing millions and millions of individuals, not only within America, but around the world. And you have to start doing things that are producing for everyday people. Not just, it's cool if you want to focus on your little community because that's what you're comfortable with or whatever, but that's what we need to do is step outside of the comfort zones. You know what I mean? So you have to start finding out or being committed to what it feels like going into places you have never gone before, going and communicating with people that you have never communicated with before, because we're not going to understand from the messages of mainstream media or the messages of mainstream television who these people really are. So when you think about poor people, you might already have it set in your mind where you already have a certain way, or you might have a prejudiced way of looking at them because you align your thinking and logic from mainstream media or the news. The news may have created this mystique in your mind of who you believe Black people to be, but you never really took the time to interact and communicate with Black people to the core of who they are and their feelings and where they draw them feelings from, where the hate is drawn from for the systematic operations that these people have to live under. We have to start talking to our neighbors. We have to start talking to people who we choose to distance ourselves away from because of the information that's coming out of me. This is what I think. It's like we're in this era of hate. So it's like we're not getting to the information. We're not getting to the information that we need to get to in our communication because we're only talking about the hate. We're only talking about the hate messages like, oh, I hate Donald Trump. I hate the Republicans. I hate the Democrats. I hate these people, this people. And we're not even communicating about all the love and information that is out there that we need to build upon. So what we have to do is step away from producing for the systematic operations of the oppressors and start coming together and trying to create and produce solutions that is going to benefit all the people that are suffering, but also uplift all the people that are not in the know mentally about the information that they should be trying to align or seek out, you know, that they have never sought out. And it's so many different ways that, I mean, there's so many different solutions, but everybody has to be individually committed to small solutions. You know, this is what it takes. It takes small solutions to work up to the major solutions, you know, but we have to be individually carrying out little small solutions, whether it's helping your community. And I did something this week. This is what I want to tell you, G, this is real. People are out there trying to help. You know what I mean? I went and set up a campaign and I put a GoFundMe out just to do something different, just to show people how loving our family really is. So I put it on Facebook and we raised like $150, bro. I'm telling you, it's something small. This is nothing. But it was 150, and everybody on Facebook raised this shit. This is this Facebook family that we all love and support. They raised that money. I took the money and went out in the neighborhood. You feel me? I got 2 homeless dudes say, yo, who's trying to work? A lot of them was like, yo, I don't want to work. I'm cool. It's nothing. Whatever, cool. I found 2 dudes that were really trying to work. So they went, they worked. We did a little cleanup in the neighborhood. I gave them the bread. They went on their merry way. I'm not going to change their life drastically. But that small act of kindness and love, it showed them brothers that people do care. You know what I mean? And it showed me that we can actually come together and do major things. You know what I mean? Whether it be we're in different states or different localities, we can still find ways to come together and create the change that we want to see happen. You know, it's not going to come by talking about the politics of division or any other things that is of division, like racism. It comes from a place of hate because people don't understand racism. People just understand the face value of racism, and the face value of racism is hate. You know, understanding racism goes down to having information to really understand where that racism habit comes from or where that nature in their mind comes from. And that is taught. You know, just like religion is taught, racism is taught to the children. And it's taught by the environments. Religion is taught by the communities and the parents. And the parents are breaking it down. And this is what they're seeing. So I'm seeing a religious upbringing. In this country redneck type dude, he could be seeing a hateful upbringing of racism and hate towards other peoples that, you know, he's being told is not like him. But we have to change the narrative by our actions. We have to act in love. We have to be committed to, you know, creating small time effective ways of changing the lives of those people suffering, you know, and show them that. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure I jumped in there, and it goes deeper than hate too, right? Because what is the fuel of hate is poverty, right? The fuel of hate is scarcity and poverty, and I find that people get trapped on the hate level. You know, when what you were talking about before, when those random acts of kindness, like what you did.
Yeah, that's what it is. Random
those things, they start resolving scarcity. They start resolving the poverty. But as long as you got people, you know, in the trailer park fighting with people in the ghetto, and the people in the ghetto fighting with the people, and then in big business is keeping them all poor, then you're going to have hate that just.
G got cut off. I don't know if y'all see it. Please stop. Scarcity and poverty. Yo, the G, where you at? Is anybody still here? Anybody still here? Anybody here? Let me know. I don't even know if I'm still on. Y'all so crazy. Y'all so crazy.
You're back. What happened?
G, man, it was you for a day. So funny. It's so
what
funny.
Happened?
I don't know. I'm just reading the comments, man. I love the comments, man. I love the people. They so good. You know what I mean? They always there showing up.
But scarcity and poverty, right? You get people divide and fight, and when you don't get people looking out for each other, you get them focused on justice and solving problems. Then wait a minute, hold on.
I think you
again.
were frozen. you were frozen. I hear y'all see, so they might.
Okay, maybe the comments are catching up.
They're late.
And so, right, but these are solutions. We used to look out for each other, not fight each other. And now they got a whole segment of the population focused on fighting each other because they still exist in those little boxes and these labels. We have to let all of that go. Like, we have to be an upgrade from the previous generation. We're handing down the same problems the last generation had because we're so afraid of what people think. You know, back to what the sister said, is we need to be a recovering whatever the label is. You need to be a recovering whatever that is, and step outside of that. And once
no, of course, step outside of that.
No, we have to step outside. And once we step outside of that, then we can see poverty and scarcity in other communities and in other countries, just as we do in our own.
True. That is true. That's so true. And I'm more radical, G. I'm super radical, man. I think it's going to take something drastic, man. And it's sad to say this, but this is what needs to happen. I think parents need to tell their kids to stand down. You know, what I mean by that, it sounds so crazy, but I think parents need to tell their kids to stand down from being, I guess you know how the informed might know it, another debt slave. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is we need to stop teaching our kids to be producers for the system of operations. That is a system of inequality and injustice. We need to allow our kids to use the innovation that they have, and we need to allow them to come together in ways that we've never seen so they can create new systems of operation, you know, because we've obviously didn't take the ability that we had to do it. We're doing what we can now, but, you know, many of us have come in to know different information and different knowledge of history, but some of us have already been in the know. But we've still all been participating in that same system of operations that we're claiming to be fighting against. But what we have to do is generate the passion and desire and commitment in the youth. Because the youth, whichever the way the youth goes, that's which way society goes. You know, and then if the youth, because right now, mentally, they're in for a battle of their lives. They're going through the ropes of all the college and the debt, student loans, and all this different stuff about beliefs and all this. But not only is they're going through the struggles of that, coming into their own independence, but they're being confused about the political scope of American politics, you know, American government. They're confused. They're being told that they shouldn't believe in their president because the president is a goon, a buffoon, a loon, or whatever you want to call them. But yet they're told that they should still have faith in American politics. Oh, yes, have faith in American politics. But look, your president is this, your president is that, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait a minute. This is a contradiction of the standards that they've already previously set. So now it's like, you couldn't criticize Obama in this way at all, even though some people did, you know, but you couldn't criticize Obama or talk about him in the way that the mainstream outlets, they joke about Donald Trump in ways I've never seen the president be joked about. And it's like, this is the new standard that's being set for this American politics that has been dying for so long. I'm telling you, it was dying forever. Obama was like the piece to hold on. You know, he was like the piece that they needed to keep American politics alive for another 10 to 20 years. But the information is catching up. You know, the information is catching up to their deception and their I guess, strategy, you know, because we all know this is a one world government strategy where currency is going to be one world currency. There might be one universal basic. Think about this, a universal basic income for the world. How can they create a universal basic income for the world when we don't even have information about the foreign governments and cultures of the world? They're just going to say, look, we're going to pay everybody the same. Don't worry about who they are over here or over there. Don't worry about what we're going to do over here or over there. Just know that everybody's being paid the same. So all the problems should just go away. The problems don't go away with financial security. The problem goes away when people realize that they're giving their control to the wrong information. And we have to start raising our kids with proper information. There's no more glamour and glitz of American flags and American history and independence. There's no more of that. We have to stop teaching our kids that July 4th is a great day for our people. July 4th wasn't a great day for me and you. We benefited. I mean, am I going to say we haven't benefited? No, we benefited, but those benefits are very, very small compared to the humongous benefits we would have had if people had came together in 1776 across the world. You know what I mean? If people across the world came together and established that we're going to do everything that we needed to do to make sure we enrich the world together, as opposed to allowing men in weaponry and strategy and allyship or secret governing or whatever the case you want to call it, came together and strategized to take over the world, we would have had people coming together from all different backgrounds to create a better world for all the youth that come into this world, you know. But now it's like, no, you're born in America, so you have to be American until your death. You're born in America and your family is Christian, so you have to be Christian. If you want to step outside of your family being Christian and be Islam, you're going to automatically be a black sheep of your family. But this is stupid, because there's no such thing as a black sheep. We were all made individually unique, and we're all supposed to embrace our individual uniqueness and give it to the world. But we don't know how to give it to the world because we've never been taught how to apply, or we've never been taught first how to seek and gain the grasp of our individual uniqueness. But we've always been taught to be more private, be more reserved, only show your true colors to certain people, only show the true you to certain people. And this is what we're missing in this society, is the true representation of who we are. You know, when you go to work, you're not representing who you truly are, because you had to play that fake, you had to put on your acting Hollywood mask. You know what I mean? You got to be faking the fraud. You got to talk proper. You know what I mean? You got to play the nice, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, this and that. You can't, if you see problems going on, if you see inconsistencies in the way that the company is working and doing things, you can't say nothing about that. You can't call out your own company. You can't talk the truth about your own company, because you got to get that paycheck, man. So basically, you know that the company is doing dirt. You know that this is going against the people all around you. It might even be affecting your family, but you can't do nothing about it because you got to get paid, and you got to pay the bills. You got to take care of the family. So taking care of your family is actually helping the government, the system of injustice and inequality, take advantage of someone else. And think about this, G. This is 100 million families. 100 million families are working on behalf of the system to take advantage of someone else. But we can't break free from it because we don't communicate enough about it. You know, we don't. It's like, what do they call that when somebody gives up information or some shit? Like Ed Snowden gave up information about American government, and he was a whistleblower. But it wasn't. He was telling us the truth. He was giving us truthful information, but he was not
a traitor.
He's a traitor of America because he's giving the people the truth. He's telling the people that, yo, you're being spied on. They don't care about y'all. They're spying. You know what people said? We don't care. We're not doing nothing. We don't care. I'm not doing anything illegal, so they can look and watch me anywhere I am. And it's like, wait a minute. Hold on. You don't care that you're being watched everywhere? This guy said it, and they say, you know what? Lock him up. Lock Edward Snowden up. Yo, he's not patriot. This guy got to flee the country and get protection in foreign land. Where did he go, to Russia? He probably went to Russia.
He went to Russia. Well, you know what? What happened is a slave ran off the plantation. Right. And the rest of a lot of the slaves on that plantation started shucking and jiving, trying to figure out, well, why you run off the plantation? Massa take good care of. Massa need his secrets. We ain't got to have no secrets in our huts. Right. We can go in, you know, it's the slave mind. Like we can code it, we can play with it all we want. The reality is, it is a slave mind. It's that slave mind that you got to protect the plantation, and they protect the American plantation the same way that people, like you said, in these corporations, they work for big pharma, they work for big chemical companies, they work for big auto companies and banks, and they want to support the plantation. I was not going to talk bad about the cotton gin. The bank makes a lot of money, you know, and so they give you that slave mind. They give you that mindset that the success of a massive corporation or the success of a massive nation, imperialistic nation, is directly related to your success. But this is what we got back to before from the beginning, which was we're making progress, but who is we? It's not us. It's not people. It's not 7 billion.
We progressing and getting these getting more debt. We're progressing and getting more. See, this is another thing. We're progressing and getting more stuff. Listen, they have people so over. I forget. Damn it! I had the brain for it. But they have people so enthusiastic about buying shit that has such an increasing depreciation value. You know, and this goes against just in quality of investing or just spending your money wisely. People buy shit that has an insane amount of depreciation value, but they don't get it. You know what I mean? You when you spend your money, you're wanting to buy things that have great appreciation value, so you're getting the most bang for your buck that you can possibly get. But the system doesn't teach us to think that way about spending our money. You buy things that depreciate, like car. But not only do they depreciate in the value, but you're putting all this money into its depreciation. You have to pay gas and do this and that. They're not funneling money to give us innovation so that way we can create things that don't depreciate in value, like sustainable living in houses that are not dictated on fake market values and market rates. You know what I mean? Because the market value of housing market is dictated based on entities that we have no say in. We don't have any say in the market fluctuation of the prices of the housing and this and that. We are subjected to all that because the banks control that. And the banks control the loans and the mortgages that people use to fund their houses, you know? So it's like we're tied in to the long game because we haven't taken our ability in this short game to inform ourselves together, you know, and utilize the information that some people, you know, when they work as a real estate agent, they're not going to tell the rest of the public the schemes and the things, the loopholes that they go through to get the best benefits of being a real estate agent. They're going to utilize that for themselves and their family. So it's like this is the same thing when it comes to certain entities like Comcast. They're not going to tell you what they're doing. They're not going to tell you the equipment and ins and outs of the schemes in the long game that Comcast is about, because they're trying to protect the integrity of the system of operation that's scheming all of us, you know? And we're all connected because we use phones. I'm using this laptop, whatever technology we're using, we're connecting ourselves to the long game that is ultimately against us building as people together, you know, and us creating the societies that we want to live in, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, they screw us up. They screw us up. They divide us. They give us these slave mind-like mentalities to corporations and products and lifestyles, and they do a lot of damage. And you know, I'm kind of watching the room, and I'm a patient person, and I kind of let people have their perspectives. And I think we should have discussion. But you know, there's a degree where in a discussion you're not offering anything helpful. You're actually just stirring up dissension and problems. And so there is somebody in the room. I let him stick around. You know, I appreciate you sometimes. But Brother Johnny, you go a little too far. You got to pull back. So let's just be flat out. You know, when I know where this brother's coming from, right? Like, when you have your children taken from you, when you have your income taken from you, and we went through the family court system, it does a lot of damage. But the reality is, taking the damage of course up. I don't know what just happened there. So yeah, but so taking the damage that the court system does to you and turning against women is a bad idea. This is the division we're talking against, and so I can't imagine a level of pain that people go through. You know, I know that parents, when they lose their children, you know, they'll light themselves on fire, right? They'll burn down the house. They'll do just really bad things. And so, but we can't get locked in that mindset, you know, and that's kind of the Brother Johnny. You got to pull it forward. You know, you can't turn on women. All women are created differently. Every last one of them. You know, all religions are created completely different. So we got to move forward. We can't stay in that comfort box of just being angry at a certain community, you know. And by far, like, you know, if we really, like, I think we said probably a couple months ago, By far, if you really wanted to group anyone together and talk about who was destroyed the most, it was women.
Yeah.
By far. It's not even a question. There's not even a close second. You can take all the slaves, you can take all the sex traffic, you can take all the anything that you want to take. Anything. And there is not one group that has been destroyed more since the beginning than women. There isn't. And so the idea that we get upset and we turn on them, we can't do that. You know, so you got to come forward with that nonsense and start to accept it, like we've all been encoded to divide up and fight each other. And if we do that, all we're doing is perpetuating the system. You're doing exactly what the billionaires and the big businesses who bought the family court systems and they bought the Facebooks and the social media and the media, and all you're doing is helping them. You're perpetuating, you know. And so there's another thing you said I wanted to go back to, which was you talking about how the kids look up to their parents and what do they see when it comes to politics. And you know, I'll say this, when mine look up to me, this is what I hope they see. First of all, they don't ever see me berating another adult. Like, they don't ever see childish behavior out of their father. They don't see me cussing out the presidents, whether it was Obama or it was Trump. They see a father who gets them to say, you know what, the person won. Maybe that's not the person we voted for, but I'm going to respect that person. I'm going to respect the people who voted for him, because now that person is in a position of power. And because of that, we need them to make certain changes. And those changes won't happen by calling him a doo-doo head. Those changes won't happen by like stepping down our maturity and beginning a fight against that person. We need that person to do things for people. And it's like, you know, so they don't see that out of me. What I hope the other thing they see is they see that I question everything. I don't accept anything at face value. You know, if a person says it, I'll listen to it and I'll swallow it, and I won't necessarily debate it. But if a politician or a system or a government says it, I always question it. I don't believe it till I see the facts. You know, I completely disagree always until I see the fact, because there's a difference between a person saying something and a system. Right? A system always has an angle. It always has an agenda. There's always a profit or power scheme that they have cooking up. So I question everything they say, you know, in terms of somebody mentioned vaccines. I question all of that. But when a person says it, there aren't many agendas another poor person has against me. There's not many things they're going to get out of me. So that's another thing, you know, but we have to be adults again. And this is where we lost out, is we bitten into this childish behavior. And do we have a president that is a bit immature? Yes, we do. But to me, we've always had presidents that are immature. We've always had presidents. In terms of maturity, you can be immature in what you say, and you can also be immature in what you do. And when it comes to war and all the destruction, all the presidents agree. So their immaturity, all the maturity levels of all the presidents to me are always the same. They say different things. That's all.
That's true. That's true. That is definitely true. And I'm glad you said that too, and just spoke up on behalf of women, because what we need to do is change the way we teach our young to look at women and think about women, communicate with women, uplift women. And this starts with young women. You feel me? We need to change, because look, we are already fighting against a mainstream narrative that continues to tell women that they're inferior to men, to continue to tell men that they're superior, to tell our young men, our young boys, treat women as possessions still. You know, and we've done that. We've lived a life where we've seen how it affects the mentality, the emotional state of a woman, and it affects the education and understanding and activity of a woman, is how she's treated. Not only in the home, but in community. You know, we have to change the way we talk to women. We have to change the way, you know, we listen. We don't listen to women that much, because we've already took the dominating structure of society to where we listen to man more than we listen to women. We just say, oh, well, they're crazy. It's the time of the month. They're crazy and this and that. And anytime they're ranting or raving about something, we're not trying to really let it hit us to the core where we're listening and trying to hear, because I think women are crying in this society today. Women are crying out loud for help, and we're not helping them because we're worried about man's politics. We're worried about man's view of what religion is. We're worried about man's way of life. only the strong survive. Only the strong survive. Only you have to be a strong. You have to man up. You know, all these different things that teach us to look at society from a male-dominated perspective is completely going against the way that we need to live naturally. You know, everybody we come from only one. We all come to this beautiful place from the womb. We come from the womb, and then when we come out of the womb, it's like we're running away from our mothers because the man-made society is so beautiful. I mean, man made these beautiful things that we love so much. Man made nice cars, man made nice clothes, man made nice everything. Man made all this beautiful stuff, and man made the mother be a part of it. Women didn't always want to be a part of this. They had to. Women, see, this is how beautiful it is. Women have always adapted to what they have been living within. War. Women adapted to war because the men and the father had to go over to war for who knows what reason. We all know what reason. Greed, control, you know what I mean? Destruction of the flag. But women still had strong, and they took care of the family, and they did all the work. Who you think was tilling the gardens? Who do you think was raising and washing the butts of all these little kids running around? The men were over there in war. But this is another thing. Not just the woman, but the different groups of women. White women, black women. These are all strong women. You know what I mean? Together in their own right, they're all strong because of the odds that they had to defy. I mean, we are so ungrateful as men anyway in this society because we don't give enough credit to the woman for defying all the different odds of the foundation of this American society. Their sons going to war, dying. The sons at home dying from slave masters. Now these slave masters created a war mind, and they're sending the sons over to die, and the woman still holds strong throughout this entirety of it. Now the woman has to deal with all these different man-made realizations. Oh, you got to go to work now. You can't stay home with your young as long as you want to stay home because you got to go work for this man-made machine, for this man-made construction of life. And it's like,
and then come home and cook.
And then you got to come home and cook. And then you got to come home and the husband's been taught to put their feet up and watch their favorite TV shows, and the mom's taking care of everything. And I'm like, God damn, y'all, we got to do better. We got to do better because look, the revolution or whatever revolution we're looking for doesn't happen unless women are at the forefront. And I don't mean at the forefront and saying, oh, we got to give women whatever they want. You know what I mean? And just do whatever they want. No, I mean, we need to have their voices at the forefront. Their pain needs to be at the forefront. Their understanding needs to be in the understanding in politics. How can people not get it? This is man-made stuff. Women have hearts of passion. Women have hearts of love. Women are not going to sit there and say, look, let's go to war over here in Iran and Afghanistan because we need oil. We need their poppy and opium seeds. So let's go to war and take over their land. Women are not going to do that. Women are going to be like, look, there needs not be loss of life. You know, I'm talking about if we raise them right, G. If we raise them right, though, man. You know what I mean?
But I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say that there are women who are just as evil as men, right?
Okay, I get that.
So, but in terms of solution, so why did the conversation shift that direction? The conversation shifted that direction because Brother Johnny was getting a little out of hand, right? He was getting a little out of hand targeting women, and so. A solution is standing up for each other. That's a solution. Right? When someone attacks another community or they don't really have the understanding that they need to, you give them the understanding that they need to stand up for each other. And so part of this is why I've got people who they'll say, oh, well, you love Trump. You love Trump. You're a Trump supporter. You're a conservative. They'll say all these things. I kind of laugh it off. And I just say, no. And they say, well, where do you stand on him? And I say, well, it depends on where you stand, right? Because if you stand and you hate the guy, then I'm gonna tell you why you should be hating the people you should be voting. You were voting for, right? If you don't stand anywhere and you just want to like talk about how do we fix things, you know, and he did a few things good, he did a few things bad, I'm good with that conversation. You won't get a hypocrisy statement out of me.
Yeah.
If you're coming at me with hypocrisy, then that's when I always step in. And so that's why I had to kind of step in. I said something there to brother Johnny. I love the brother, you know, and I kind of know what he's been through, but the reality is we got to stand up for each other. I'll stand up for Trump voters as well as I'll stand up for Obama voters. But what I won't stand for is I won't stand for hypocrisy. Hypocrisy.
Never.
I'm not letting any of that ride.
You know what? That's true, because we have to start standing up to it when it happens, so that way, even Johnny, he can reevaluate what he said or done, and look at it in a different way and get different understanding. Because it's not about reacting hostility, like, oh, shut the f up, you did this and that's how we've been doing things reactionarily. We need to communicate from a heartfelt place, and allow people to understand where this is coming from, where our passion is rooted from. So that way they don't be misled by harsh words, or, because people, when you come at somebody who may seem like they're off of their rockers or going crazy, and you come at them in a hostile manner, it's more hostility. But when you come and react in a subtle manner where you can talk like we're grown adults and communicate, there's respect, but also there's elevation, because he may understand his faults, and he may respect the way that you have helped him understand his faults, as well as we do the same thing with other people. We respect somebody who talks to us in a way that shows their concern for us, as opposed to showing how, like, oh, I hate you, you hate women. No, that's what we have too much of right now. We need to communicate respectfully and agree to disagree in a manner where we can all leave positive. We can all leave with positive feelings. You know what I'm saying?
And I see that. And I see that in a lot of our friends. I see that because initially the trolling stuff will kick in, and people go at him, right? But you can see a lot of women in the room will let Johnny talk. And they'll let him say his thing, and sometimes they'll pull him back a little bit. Sometimes they'll let him go. But I think what they're doing is they're listening to his pain more than his text, and that's what we have to do. We have to listen. We have to listen to people's pain more than we do their words. And that's how you solve problems. You don't solve problems, operating at this level where they're fussing. You solve problems down here. And I think a lot of people get that he went through some bad stuff. But then you got to go to the mirror too. I said, I know if the brother's still around, but you got to look in the mirror and you got to say, what can I do also to help get myself out of this? Why do I hate this other community so much? What do I need to focus on? So we all got to stay in that mirror, but we also have to have empathy for people to listen.
Right. That's one thing we have to do, Del, is constantly looking in the mirror and see how we can become better people, because every day that's what it is. We have the ability to be better people every day. And what you may have done wrong the previous day. You have the ability to evaluate yourself. What you should do often is evaluate yourself, because you should be always looking to elevate. When you elevate, you're helping others elevate, because your elevation is contributing to the, shift in energy, I would say, in our environment, because we're dealing with a lot of negative energy. We're dealing with a lot of hate energy. But when you elevate yourself to just express love and express positive kindness and all these different attributes that shifts the scary times that we're dealing with, you help other people. You help other people. So people like to say that, it's about self, do for self, this and that. Yeah, but when you're doing for self, as far as enriching yourself with knowledge and the need to be better, you're actually enriching the environments around you, because you're actually treating the people around you better. You're actually communicating with the people around you in maybe a more respectful manner or a more thought out manner, to where you're listening like you didn't before, because that's what it really is about, listening to each other, and trying to figure out ways that we can help one another in how we didn't before, because we're not always looking to help others. We're always looking to help ourselves, and in helping ourselves, we're taking advantage of others, more or less. You know what I mean? But that's not what this is about anymore. This is about helping others to help ourselves, and helping ourselves to help others. And we just have to change the way we think. You know, we have to change what we have been led to believe in and question everything. Like you said earlier, if it comes out of government politics, make sure you question it. You know, always question it. Make sure that before you process this information, you have clarity. You know, you have clarity to understand that the history of this and the way this information has been relayed to us has been deceitful. You know, so we have to be slow to believe it. You know, we have to be slow to just throw our faith into it. Like when the Democratic Party uses the hate that they have created of Donald Trump to fuel a desire and passion within people to act. So if they say, oh, the immigrants are doing this, that Donald Trump did this to the immigrants, everybody's ready to go ham, like you see with the abolish ICE situation. But when the history did that, when the information was there, when Obama was president, people weren't fast to act and say abolish ICE, oh, abolish this and abolish that, because the hate wasn't there. You know, the hate wasn't there to bring about that reactionary phase. But we have to be informed. You know, we have to be informed with the right outlets so that way we move in love. We don't need to be moving in hate. So we shouldn't be like, oh, let's protest and let's scream our hate for Donald Trump and the Republican Party. No, let's think about this in understanding and love, and let's act in love. All right, well, the immigrants are doing this, but we're going to change what they're doing, and we're going to help the immigrants in a different way. And we're going to change the entire narrative of how they come into America, or whatever the case is. I don't know how we do that, but I know that we have to think differently from everything being a government motive or a government brand operation. You know, the operations within government are being ran in a manner where we're not getting any transparency. We're not getting enough information to truly know what's going on. And our only outlets are the deceptive mainstream media, you know, so we have to change the way we inform ourselves, but we have to change the way we think about solutions together. It's different work, but there's many different beautiful minds out there that can process the events or process different systems of life, whether it be banking, whether it be criminal justice, whether it be housing, whether it be, you know, corporate science. You know, we have all these different, I guess, truth seekers or information seekers out there, to where we can build upon something like a mainstream diet. You know, we can have a mainstream diet to where we spread and shed our information to people, to where they're becoming informed, to where they're questioning, to where they're trying to think of alternative ways of doing things, because that's what it's about, having alternative ways of doing things that come from alternative thinking.
Yeah, alternative, and that's a good word. And that's kind of how we started off this discussion. I don't know if you guys were in the beginning, but that's where we started. We started with Facebook deleting holistic wellness and organic pages, and anything that's alternative to what they consider to be true, they've been deleting, and the rest of social media. And all of that started with the whole hate Russia thing. So they always take that division and they make society worse. Crystal just mentioned that a friend of hers just had a massive heart attack, right? So what does that mean? So now people are having heart attacks and health conditions, and there's no other alternative information that can be on social media. So when you look at heart attacks, and you look at strokes, and you look at what is the name of that book, The Cholesterol Myth, and how sugar, not fat, is behind a lot of what clogs your arteries. Wow. You know, so now maybe the cholesterol myth is fake news. Maybe that, you know, that author, he can't have a page, so he can't get that alternative information out. I think Brother Lamar just talked about God, you know, something about how he fears God. Well, so now social media can say, well, wait a minute, what if they don't believe in God? If they don't believe in God, then God is fake news. So now now churches shouldn't have pages, because, you know, and so this is the problem with having a truth ministry. This is the problem with, you know, dividing up against and saying, well, no, Trump didn't win because Russia did it and Russia interfered instead of my own political party interfered. If we didn't go off in this division route, if the hate didn't take over, we wouldn't be in a position where we're losing alternative truth all over the internet, because we were divided up. Always stand with poor people. Always stand with somebody that's on your side. And people in your political party aren't on your side. People of your race aren't on your side. People of your religion aren't always on your side. Most people, they have that pain, and I don't want to go back to Brother Johnny, but they have that pain, and they bring that pain forward. We need to understand that pain. We need to set that pain aside, and we need to do things to evolve society and upgrade. You know, so anyway, that was my little outrage from this morning that it's not really outrage. It's just, I just look at it is what it is. It's greed. It's like you said, it's greed and power. It's not necessarily the money that they're after, but they're after the power of controlling people on this planet. And they do that by giving these slave mind concepts. And so society gets worse and worse and worse. And you talk about mental illness. You know, you look at all the synthetic drugs that people are using and how it's affecting brain chemistry, like all the metals that they're spraying in society, how it's affecting. And so people are getting angrier and more hateful and more hateful. But the difference is now you don't have hate from a child raised in a trailer park or a ghetto in scarcity and poverty who was taught to hate. You have hate that comes about biologically because we've accepted that chemical science is the only real science, and that we should continue to spray this stuff, put it in the food. And so now we have artificial hate. So we can't even deal with the environmental hate and the hate from poverty, the real hate. We got to now deal with artificial hate because now social media has a truth ministry.
Got to deal with the artificial hate.
Right. It's just divide and conquer, and it's the buildup of this matrix problem.
They fraction it all out. Fraction up the hate, so that way the hate will never be focused on the one root of where it's all coming from, because it's so fractured up. So now people are hating all these different things, and it's like they can't never. We just have to bridge the divide. You know what I mean? We have to bridge all these gaps, Brother G, and we have to utilize our ability with this technological salve, I guess you could say, because you know you're good with the tech and I'm not. But we all have ability to utilize the tech to connect. You know what I mean? And communicate about the different things that they're not talking about on the mainstream. So that way people can, I guess, because we relate more to each other as opposed to these fake mainstream media pundits that are getting paid millions of dollars to just relay the stories that are being written up as juice. You know, they're being written up as Kool-Aid because people have drunken so much of the Kool-Aid that they're addicted to it, you know? And we have to, I forget, you said something earlier about how we need to get off of this stuff, but we need to get off of the misinformation and deception outlets. Like, we need to get off of all mainstream media. We need to also not be so quick to snap out on people who still watch mainstream media, because we have to understand that, you know, everybody doesn't wake up and come into the know about things with our minds being so different, but we all have different ways of expressing our truths or different ways of, you know, receiving information, but we can all collectively change the narrative if we're giving proper information. You know, if we're giving that proper information in love and truth and not deception or trying to propagandize things, because we're really trying to create minds that are giving and minds that are looking to help and minds that are looking to spread and share love, you know, not minds that are looking to make it about strategizing of how we can be deceitful to change the pace. No, we wanted to do this naturally, like we've been gifted to. And one thing, like you said, it comes from standing tall against those, I guess, individuals who've been broken. You know, people have been broken, but we have to stand tall in the face of those individuals, but as well as the individuals, the systems of operations as well. We have to stand tall against them and find ways that we can change it.
I like that word, broken. It's a deep word. That's a powerful word. And we should use that more often, right? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about like a horse that was broken. We're talking about people that were broken. You don't go blame a horse for being broken. It was lassoed and eaten, trained to make sure that it understood it is what it is, you know. And so you're that's exactly it. You're talking about broken people. Like we were saying before about, you know,
look, one second. Race horses, bro. We've been broken and we've been made into race horses. You know, the prized possessions of, you know, how the race or the owner of the horse is like, they're training this horse so much to be able to compete in the Preakness or the whatever races they have. They have many horse races that are not mainstream, but we're race horses. We're being trained to compete against our family members. Like the horses, they're all family, the horse family, whatever. And we're being trained to compete against this one and that one all over the world. And the winners get the praise. You know, if you're a CEO, you get the praise because you get the money, the benefits, everything. If you're one of those the prize horses, you get the praise because you're getting showered with the adornment and all these different things that they give horses. Whatever they might give you, I don't know how it is. They might give you extra food for the rest of your life, and you get all these privileges. And then the ones that lose get thrown back into the where they get horses at. I don't have.
It starts. Wait. Let's
they put them back in the farm, man. They don't get to roam around. They get to send that ass back to the farm.
But before that, when the horse race, I used to go to this Rose Cross Raceway as a kid. I was a privileged kid. I ain't gonna lie. But this is why I stand up anyway. But no, but the first thing is when the horses win, you know, they go for the victory lap first of all, right? Because what the poor horses do, the horses that lost, they got to go back to the stable.
Go back to the stable.
They go back get the dirty hay in the stables. The shame. It's just a shame, you know. But the horse that won, meanwhile, all the horses are broken. But the horse that they take the victory lap,
the horse that won the victory lap,
they go slow. People throw flowers at them, right? Trump, Obama, they throw flowers at him. Merkel, May, they throw flowers. You're just so good. You're a good broken horse. And after the lap is done, they'll stop. The mainstream media come out. They start taking pictures,
taking little pictures real quick.
You know, getting the cameo poses on the horse. You know, doing the thing. You know, and so. But that's a good analogy. You know, the winning horse, they get the sugar cubes, they get the best meal. You know, and meanwhile. We're all you nailed something with that analogy. We are all broken horses, but some are broken worse than the others. And we're all in different states of brokenness. And you know, we have to, I think,
real talk. Think about the horses that don't never make it to the race, man. Think about the ones that don't never make it to the race, brother. They haystacks, and they're like, yo, man, we ain't never gonna make it to the big show, y'all. And they're like, you know what? This is our life, man. You got to accept that we just hate eaters, bro. We ain't more than hate eaters, man. We ain't get trained enough. They got handicapped horses or something. I don't know what they call them, but they said we was too handy. We ain't smart enough. We ain't fast enough. We ain't as good as we need to be in their system of operations of us being horses.
It's worse than that. Listen to me. Listen. How about the 29 that gets sent to the glue factory?
Oh my God, man.
How about the 29 on the bus that didn't even get recognized as being a horse? You weren't even a pony. You weren't even alive. You weren't even in the running, so you got sent to the glue factory, the military industrial complex glue factory, and people don't even care about it. So you're right. It's about the horses that didn't even get to make it to the race. They didn't even get to be high enough on the Democrat or Republican radar to where they get more than a day's worth of news. They didn't even give a damn about those horses.
It's competition, man. They got us all competing against each other like crazies. You know what I'm saying? We seeing some of the people. See, this is the only thing though. The horses, they react. We human, so we know how to process it when we see the glory. We idolize the gift horse and the race horse, and we idolize them. The horses, they probably like, man, I don't know how horse talk is. You feel me? They probably like, yo, man, you won. Oh man, that's great, man. Now you back here with us, or they probably never see them again, or they go far away. I don't know how they do the horses, though. You know what I mean? But they have us all to where we have a different mind than horses. So we look at this as like, or we've been taught to look at this like, oh, we glorify the best horse. We glorify the winner of the race. We glorify all this stuff. And it's just phenomenal.
Look at what Kimberly said, though.
What she said? Oh man.
So you think about it. So not only are we broken, but
they vaccinating the horses. They vaccinating the horses. They got the horses on vaccines.
Oh, this is the perfect analogy. This is sick. It is the sick, perfect analogy. We are just some damn racehorses on the track. This is us.
This is us.
This is us.
This is life, man. You have to make sure your child is a hell of a prize. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I got to go though, brothers. I got to go. You heard?
Yeah. It's been a long stream. Listen. Me too. I got to go get my sugar cubes. I got to run around the track.
Man, you better prep yourself, man. You might get a chance to make that race, man.
I can start running. But you know, but this is why it's the perfect analogy, right? Because we're all running on the track, we're all training. Because if you're not training, you're lined up to go to the glue factory. You're lined up to be treated like a Syrian 87-year-old grandmother who just wants to get some dandelions and make some soup. You know, you're gonna get treated. So we all have to sell out. We all got to run around the track. But this is why I always say, like, your problem isn't the other poor horse. Your problem isn't the horse that got sent to the glue factory. Your problem is the racetrack shouldn't exist. Your problem is human beings shouldn't be on the back of that horse whipping them. Our problem is we attack things that won't solve the problem with having a racetrack. We attack the people. We attack maybe it's the political parties or the politicians, but we don't focus on the system. Right. We gotta focus on the system. Don't focus on anything other than the root cause problems. Right. The root causes that will allow us to have a solution that can fix the problem permanently. The racetrack can't exist. What's the last words, brother? Go ahead and bring us
on. My last words is this, man. Just go and shower your environment with love. You know, wherever you go, just shower with love. You know what I mean? Even though it's hard for you to like, I know this is the time we hate each other really, but it's not really we hate. We just dislike each other at an all-time high. But I just feel that we can shower each other with whatever love that we can seek to get up out of us in our mind. Place that love in your mind, but also change the way you receive the information. Allow your mind to not have bias when you're receiving information. Allow your mind to really process information like the free and unique individual that you are, but also understanding that, you know, we're not aligned with these systems that these men or certain men or women, whoever these certain group created to, you know, present or they have created and presented us with. Align yourself with the knowledge that you are a free person to think freely about all different things and embrace that ability to look at information freely without saying, oh, I'm an American, so I have to think like a terrorist, the Islamic or the Muslim brother or whatever the case is. Oh, I'm American and I'm white, so I have to look at the black people as if they're up to no good or they're always doing this and they're always being lazy or blah, blah, whatever mainstream narrative that you have got. We have to start embracing people as they are, just people. You know, we have to start embracing each other as we are, which is family. You know, whether we want to, don't buy into the labels. Don't buy into anything that is dividing you from realizing that the people around you in your everyday life is really family. Because that's what they are. Because we share so much in common, but we're not even growing on those commonalities because we're being told and driven to believe in so much hate. So we just want to stay away from each other. We want to divide ourselves up from each other. We want to fight and argue and bicker about politics and whatever, this and that when we come together. But no, let's just build together in love, and let's take that love and transfer it to activity within our communities, you know, because that's where it matters the most, getting into these communities that are suffering the most and changing the lives of these people that are suffering the most from a lot of our privilege. Because whether you're black, white, you're privileged in America, but also a lot of our knowledge. We have different knowledge that these people don't have access to or that they never have been able to obtain. So let's use that and change the mainstream narrative and change the status quo of how we're living. That's all I got, G. That's all I got. Absolutely. And G, you keep doing your thing too, because you just come and give people the diversity of thought that is needed, but also you get people to think about things in a way that they normally wouldn't do. You know, so we need a lot of that. So keep on doing the good things that you're doing.
Right. I appreciate it. We all have to do what we have to do. And I will continue to use my black privilege. Everybody out. The best that I will continue to use. So without hitting the trigger, in the last comment in the room, Sister Lynn nailed it. Sometimes I have to say things to trigger people, but Sister Lynn nailed it. You know, use love as your weapon of choice. At the end of the day, it all comes down to love. Doesn't really matter the question. The answer is always love. But this is Gerard, Kenyatte Hay, and Chris Lewis, not with the State of the Union, with the state of the race, the state of the racetrack.
The racetrack of the horses.
The state of the racetrack. Focus on the horses that got sent to the glue factory, and let's shut down the glue factory and the racetrack, and we can get back to fixing the problems on the planet. But anyway, y'all have a wonderful day. Have a good rest of your weekend. Tomorrow's Monday, Slavery Monday. Everybody enjoy their Slavery Monday.
All right, passionate about people.
Right.
Y'all always be passionate about people. You already know. And deprogram to reprogram. G, you the man. That's all it is. Love you, bro.
We out. Love you, man. Take care. Bye-bye.